Nigeria, a vibrant tapestry of places, people, stories, struggles, and unshakable spirits. Politicians make promises, but who really holds them accountable? I'm Donu Kobara, and this isn't just about politics. This is about us. This is where we confront the hard truths that few say publicly. Hello everyone, welcome to Donu's World. Today I want to talk about something pretty serious, being that I'm really concerned about the situation in Nigeria at the moment. When I turned 65 last October, I thought, you're definitely not getting any younger, Donu. You need to work less, relax more, and leave the sort of agitation and complaining to younger people. Because as a journalist, I've always been one to, take an interest in things that are going wrong in different countries across the world, whether it's America or Russia, Ukraine, India, Afghanistan, other African countries. And I really felt when I turned 65 that I'd reached the point at which I should become more of an observer than a complainant or an activist. But I find myself unable to take a back seat. And that's because what's happening in Nigeria is completely unacceptable. Let me just read you a few snippets from a statement issued by Chi Lael, the World Food Programme spokesperson for Nigeria. World Food Programme is a United Nations organization, and Chi Lael spoke on behalf of two other UN agencies and the World Food Programme, that is UNICEF, the UN Programme for Children, and the Food and Agricultural Organization, and the World Food Programme. For various reasons, including record inflation, climate shocks, and ongoing conflicts, the number of food insecure Nigerians is likely to reach 33 million this year, which is a sharp increase from the 25 million who need assistance today. And never before have there been so many people in Nigeria without food. The data shows that Nigeria faces a monumental hunger crisis in the second half of this year, particularly in the northern parts of the country. And as a result, there are 5.4 million children and 800,000 pregnant and breastfeeding women at risk of acute malnutrition. The speed of deterioration over the past year is alarming, and the scale has increased so much. I mean, there have always been issues around hunger, particularly in those parts of the country that are poorer, because, Nigeria is a huge country. In the south tends to be more affluent and more commercially viable, and the north tends to be more agrarian, if you like, more rural, and it's complicated. So these problems have always existed, but the issue is that now they are escalating to an alarming degree. I mean, they're much worse than they've ever been, and they're getting worse and getting worse really quickly. Just before Christmas, various organizations, including a Catholic church in Abuja, the capital city, tried to organize humanitarian exercises whereby they handed out food, basic foodstuffs to people who were hungry. Stampedes resulted. People waited all night for the food to appear. So, they knew that the Catholic Church and some other organizations were dishing out free food the following day. So they slept outside under the stars, bitten by mosquitoes, and waited patiently for this food to come. And when the people organizing the food distribution appeared, they just completely freaked out And there was a stampede, there were stampedes, and several people died. Nobody knows the exact number. But let's just say that several people were killed in the desperate rush of poor people to get their hands on food for themselves and their families. Again, Nigeria has always had these charity drives where food was given out at Christmas or at Easter, special times of the year, Muslim holidays. But it's never been like this, where in the past people have queued up patiently, collected their little bag of rice or whatever they're being given and gone away. But this time, the desperation was frightening. And I'm sorry to say this, but the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has, in my opinion, shown completely inadequate levels of empathy. In fact, no real empathy at all. And it is within his powers to stem this humanitarian crisis and avert catastrophe. There are very wise old Nigerian politicians from the 50s and 60s who said, I mean, he wasn't poor himself. He was a well-educated man, and he was iconic. His name was Awolowo, Obafemi Awolowo. And he warned the Nigerian elites. He said, you know what? If you continue, I paraphrase, these are not his exact words. If you continue to neglect and traumatize the poor, their children will not allow your children to sleep. And I tell you, we're definitely heading in that direction. In fact, we're already in that direction. Because, I mean, I was kidnapped in 2015 by the children of the poor. And I spent 2 weeks with them listening to how they grew up and how they had suffered and how they had struggled to even find jobs. In some parts of this country, criminal activity is the only way to make a living. And there are just so many dysfunctions in the system which a good government would be able to correct. But I see no evidence of good governance. What I see is a greedy, selfish, often criminal elite pouncing on the resources in this country, which could be so rich because we have oil, we have several minerals like gold. Nigeria is potentially a sort of fantastically rich, prosperous country that is potentially comfortable for everybody. But no, I don't deny that I am a member of the elite. But there are quite a few members of the elite, like myself, who do not wish to be part of the stealing, the corruption, the selfishness. And, you know, there's a type of selfishness that boils down to manslaughter. Because if you steal money that's meant to go for vaccinations or, you know, to feed children or put them in school or give them medical care or take care of adults who are in need, if people die because you have stolen resources that belong to everybody, that is manslaughter.